We're gonna PaintWithJosh. We're gonna PaintWithJosh. Put the boom boom into my heart. Set my soul sky high when your painting show starts. PaintWithJosh into my brain. He's gonna paint, paint, paint till he drives us insane. Something's bugging you, something ain't right. Your best friend told you what he painted last night.
Welcome in, everybody. How is everyone doing this evening? Hi there, my name is PaintWithJosh. We're here on an 18 by 20 inch, 18 by 24 inch white canvas, of course. Right? We're taking our liquid white paint and covering our entire white canvas. That way it kind of greases up our pan like we're going to cook something. We want a nice non-stick surface, and so we need to make it wet. We teach the wet on wet technique, meaning we take wet paint and put it onto a wet surface. Right? So once our surface is nice and wet and scrubbed in and blended out as much as you could possibly get, right? If your arm is tired by the time that you're done, that's what you want to have. You don't want to continue to add more paint because then it will be too soupy or too slippery, too globby up there. It'll be too much paint. Use a little amount, and then I'll show you exactly how to test it and make sure that we got just enough on there, okay? So we're going to take our finger, or fingers anyway, touch it in the top corner, bottom corner, everywhere, and then in the middle, and we should have a very small amount of paint onto our glove, right? If you're wearing gloves anyway, you should be able to see all these little crisscrosses and little dimples in the actual canvas. If you touch it and it's too much and you can't even see anything but white, you have too much on there. Now, if you're not wearing gloves and you just have your fingerprint, right, you're just going to touch it and you should still be able to see all the little ridges. If you can't see all the ridges, then you have too much. If you have too much, take a paper towel, wipe it in one direction all the way across, top to bottom, right? And then you'll have enough paint on there to continue. So I figured maybe we do like a cool little pinky bluey sky out here, and perhaps we'll take a little bit of our madder carmine color and plop it into the sky. Very, very, very faint amount. And the more that we mix it, the more it's mixing with the liquid white base and becoming even brighter. So we'll go into our ultramarine blue, start dropping that guy on down from the top. It's going to be very heavy and very dark when you very first put it up there. And so we need to give it some space to mix down and become a lighter color. If it's too dark next to this very faint pink, the darkness is going to overtake it. It's just going to be gone, mix all the way away, right? So, yeah, guys, you got to check in. Let me know where you're watching from out there. In the day, or whatever time it is, night, day, could be different for everybody. And then we're going to leave a little patch, okay? We're not going to blend out the color until we get a clean brush. We're just kind of dropping on paint out here, seeing what it might look like if it was a little darker or a little heavier or whatever, right? But we're not blending it. We're just putting the paint out there, and then we're really not going to do much along the bottom. If you want to keep some nice bright white snow, let's keep it nice and bright down here, okay? Now, I'm going to dab off the brush on a paper towel very vigorously a lot of times to try to get like 90% of that blue to come off, right? So even though it's still kind of tinted blue, you can still see a little bit of blue there. There's not a lot of paint on the brush, right? This is why we wear gloves all the time. Everybody always asks, why do you wear gloves? Right? I'm going to come up here into my light area, which is that white section first. Then I'm going to go down over my little pinky area, and the more that I crisscross over this, the more it's going to make that pink area disappear, right? It's up to you how much paint you put up there. Do you want to have a ton of paint and have it be very dark blue or very like crimson-y reddish color? Or do you want to allow that liquid white to mix more with your colors and make them a brighter color, right? That's all we're doing. We're mixing this darker paint over a wet white surface, and so it's constantly blending. And the more we mix it, take that blue, mix it up into the pink, right? It'll almost disappear the more that we do. So we have to kind of judge, where do you want to have it? I never want to have just a straight up patch of color or like a harsh line, right? So you got to blend it until it almost disappears, right? And when you can't tell where one area stops or starts, then that's the good sky, right? Now, it's very faint up in the top, a little bit too faint for me, especially since we're only going to be focusing really, like we're going to pop our little mountain and stuff in here, and this is where you're going to be looking in that nice little pinky area. So we don't need it to be too bright everywhere else. I'm going to take a little bit of my ivory black, pop it around the top, and then remember to get rid of that color. Dab it off on a paper towel so we don't have so much of that color on there. Then we can go back and mix it. And because there's no more color on the brush, and you can take the time to clean it if you want, but just to show you, there's no black on the brush anymore, right? That way we can get up in here and start to mix it down. And as it mixes, we're not continually adding more and more and more paint. We're just massaging the paint that is already there into the canvas. Right? And as it starts getting darker, it's going to change our sky. So we can decide when to stop, right? How much darkness do you want to come down and cover over your bluey sky? Maybe you want your bluey sky to be a little bit more bluey, right? Get a little bit of blue on the brush. Let's pop it up in here and mix it down. So we mix it down a little bit closer to that pinky color. As long as you're pushing hard on the brush, the canvas is kind of pushing inwards. The bristles are bending with a lot of pressure. Then you're going to allow that paint to mix in with that liquid white that's on our canvas, right? All things, guys, we can do. We can even take more blue and put it into the top corner. As you can see, we do it a little at a time, because if you do too much, then you're kind of stuck with it. You know what I mean? But if you can drop on a little at a time and just mix it and look and see and blah, 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 right? Then it's going to be a lot better than just chucking on a whole big massive amount. Okay, so now we're going to grab our fan brush. We're going to get our titanium white very heavily onto the fan brush. Okay, and what we're going to do is launch out just a whole big mess of this random kind of a cloudy bit, right? So I don't want to cover up too much my pink area, and I know my mountain's going to come up into here, but I need to have some amount of cloud behind the mountain. So I'm just going to scrub in a little thing, making sure that I pop up weird little bits along the top so it's not just a straight line, right? Pop out a weird little thing out here. That's all you need. Literally, some weird bit of white puff out there in the sky, right? The more that we drop on, the crazier bright the cloud are going to be, right? The more we mix it in here, the more it's going to mix with the sky color and become a bit darker, right? What if you had something out here, just like a weird little, I don't know, weird little thing, bang, out there in the top corner. Looks like it's kind of floating at a different elevation, right? This one might be lower down on our horizon as we're looking back, and this one we look further up into the sky, right? I want to make this guy a little less noticeable, so I'm going to mix him more. There's less paint up there. It's mixing with more of that dark color, right? Since we didn't leave our bright spot up here, we left it down here, right? So it's going to mix away faster, and then it's up to us how much we want it to mix. So I want to push harder and take the white kind of further back into the dark, or should we push it harder and mix it this way, allowing it to fade away, right? All up to us. Now, again, I want to dab the brush off on a paper towel. It's going to get about 85% of the color to come off of the brush, right? And that way, it's pretty clean. Even though, again, it's stained with the color, it's not going to turn my clouds blue when I get up there and touch it, because I've knocked off 90% of that bluish, blackish paint that we've been messing around with, right? So if I come in here and we start mixing very lightly and very softly and gently along the top edge, and then pushing harder as we get down along the bottom, kind of allow it to blend in with our sky, then we'll have a brighter top and a softer bottom. That's all we need, right? Is a difference, a little bit of difference out there. Now, if I mix it all and continue to just mix it and 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 mix it, then it's going to disappear, right? It's going to go away. It'll be gone forever because the white will mix in with the sky. And so you've got to decide, where do you want things to be? Where do you want to have brightness and darkness? Because it's all up to you every time you do it. Let's get a little bit of blue, black, and crimson. We're going to mix it down. Remember, this one is available, and the mods will tell you how to get there. London's behind the computer over here, kind of commenting on YouTube and TikTok and everywhere else. She's telling you how to go grab this painting. So if you like it, head over and grab it. Come back, tell us what to name it, because that's one of the perks of grabbing it during the live show. Now, we're going to scrape up a little bit of our darkness, okay? Let's come up here. We don't need to be too terribly big in this scene, right? We're going to literally mushing it on flat. So the handle is flat to the canvas, right? It's very close. I'm holding it like this so I don't get too much paint on my fingertips, but that's how close I want to be to smush on all this paint, right? Then we'll go back and get a little bit more. Maybe we'll change our angle of our peak or whatever it is. Bang, right there. Maybe it's a little ancient volcano out here. Who knows? right? That's what most mountains are anyway. They've got this little weird top. You don't always have to have a pointy tip top, right? Maybe we can make it a little taller on one side, kind of like Mount Doom dips down a little bit lower on this side. The only real thing that we need is enough paint on the tip of the blade up there to make it like a nice crisp edge against the sky. That's all you need, right? Come down here and we'll pop this guy up and we'll just mush the paint on, then change our angle. So if, instead of being very close to the canvas, smushing on all the paint, we're going to angle the handle away so we can scrape and remove. It's a different sound even, right? And again, only matters what the top edge looks like. Everything else will disappear. Okay, so we'll scrape off all this excess paint. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a mountain just overtake your whole canvas? Like you come up here and it's just grows way too big. It's probably because you forgot to scrape off that excess paint, right? If we get rid of all this stuff, put it down here. There wasn't a whole lot on there, but at least now there's less to grow, right? So we'll come up here with our 2-inch brush or your 1-inch brush, whichever one's more comfortable for you. Kind of attach it at the same angle of our ridge above. So this one's kind of flat. We're going to pull over here like this. Kind of pull out kind of flat. This guy, a little more steep, so we got to come down a little steeper and then flatten off. Right? Same thing here, grabbing it at the tip top, and it doesn't have to be all the way at the tip or all the way at the edge. Just try to get close. Right, pull it down that side. Maybe this side, we're going to grab and slide it down here. Now, where you're gripping this next section, right, is along the ridge that we created. Don't come up here to the edge of the mountain and try to pull this way. That's going to like cancel out what we've done. Everybody remember like algebra? I sure know. Or geometry. I can't remember which one I'm even talking about. But those angles will cancel each other out, right? We don't want that to happen. So we basically have a little parentheses, little bracket, little smiley face right here where it goes from the peak of the mountain down to the right, not straight down, okay? The other side obviously coming off this way. Now, the more that we pull this paint down here and blend it in, the more you kind of can't tell where the mountain starts and stops, right? That's going to be helpful for us later on. Now, you guys are going to sit back. I'm going to mix up a little bit of our snowy paint, and you guys are going to sit back and check out this cute little commercial break, which is just me telling you cool stuff. So hang out for about 30 seconds, and we'll be right back after these words. Did you see with all of our new setup and all of our new equipment that we can actually see I'm talking about all of your comments. So not a single comment will get missed, nothing gets lost. I can see them on the television. And London right back here is checking everything out on the computer. So comment, comment, comment. It helps much more than you might think and helps boost engagement and gets us out to more people. So let's get back to the show and see what we got going on up there. Okay, what do you guys think? That commercial guy is pretty cool. Got my own commercial. Who else does that? Nobody. Exactly. Another trend that we can set. Okay. Now, I'm scraping away the heavy paint right at the very edge because I wasn't able to get too close earlier. But now that we have nothing up there, I'm going to take my white paint. Okay. We're going to mix up a little bit of our titanium white. A good chunk. I mean, that's a lot of paint right there. We're going to grab a teeny amount of our ultramarine blue or your phthalo blue or Prussian blue, whatever it is. We want to aim for a nice bright blue sky color. Now this is almost too bright blue sky, so I need to grab a little bit more blue, and I'm talking about the smallest amount because the blue is very powerful. It's going to want to overtake the white paint and turn everything too bluey, right? And again, we're going for that bright blue summer day sky blue color, okay? Once we have that color, we're going to wipe off our blade. We're going to go get twice the amount of our titanium white that we grabbed before, which was a big amount. So now this is twice that much. We're going to grab 1 or 2 little scrapes of the thinnest part of this blue down here, right? That way, it's literally this teeny tiny amount of this really bright blue color mixed with a ton of titanium white, which is going to overtake the blue, right? It's going to remain looking very bright white, but we know in our heads it's no longer pure titanium white. Right? It's been a little tainted. That way it looks a little faded, a little bit further away, and will allow that our brighter snow to stand out and be closer, okay? Now in this scene, it looks like where my light would be, it's not directly right here, right? It's off to this side of the canvas. So all of our light's going to be hitting from the right, and then all of our shadows are going to go to the left. Okay, so I've got my blue shadowy pile that I'm going to scrape up. I'm going to attach a little roll onto the end, okay? I'm going to then stick the roll to the the mountain itself, allow it to adhere to the canvas. Then I need to remain that far away as I float down. I don't want to push into the canvas and have it depress inwards at all. We don't want to touch it with any amount of pressure at all. We just want to float that thing down, right? Now, it depends on how much paint we grabbed. Did we grab a big fat roll? Did we grab a little skinny roll? How hard did we push? Because the harder that we push, the more paint is going to come off of the blade, right? And it'll look like it's dropping off heavier. If we can just so gently and ever so slightly hover above the canvas, okay, then that's going to allow the kind of it's almost like sandpaper, you know what I mean? It'll allow it to grip in different places as we go across. If we push too hard, then we're going to smush whatever we have across our mountain, right? So think about it like a little bit, this canvas is kind of like sandpaper. It's a little rough, right? A little bit. And our paint is very, very, very smooth. And so if we drag that smooth paint across a rough surface with the slightest touch, then it should deposit off in a random broken bit. If I get in there and I push too hard like this and I go, ooh, and like really smoosh it in there, then it's not going to have those breaking pieces, okay? Now, we're going to do the same thing, except with our white. We can even take a bit of the blue, come off the backside of this little guy over here, right? And this is what I was telling my student earlier today. No matter if I'm on the left side of the mountain or the right side of the mountain, I have to pull the same color in the same direction, right? So you would think that on this side, all the snow is sliding down this way, right? That's true for the snow, but this is the shadows. So we have to pull it in the opposite direction. If we were coming here from right to left, we have to come over here from right to left. Then we'll take our white paint and we'll get up on this guy and go from left to right and start sliding out towards the right side of the mountain, right? We get to pick what it looks like, how heavy it is, and all that is up to us, right? You can even scrape a little bit hard. You can change the angle and make it look different, right? All up to you, kind of floating over that little bit of blue, trying to stay around it, not cover all of it, right? Trying to float above it. So again, we'll attach on. Again, try to stay underneath that blue this time so it doesn't take everything and mix it all together, right? Your angles are a big thing too, right? Up here, we're coming down pretty vertical. And then we have to start flattening out and getting flatter and flatter and flatter as we go, right? Kind of crisscross over our little shadowy areas so that it's not a perfect straight line. You don't want that, and you don't want just one side or the other, right? We have to kind of crisscross, and we're just attaching it and letting it float down. We're not pushing on it. We're not like smushing it in there. We're just allowing the canvas to grab off of our blade what it wants. You know what I mean? If it wants to drop on a whole huge bit, then drop on a whole huge bit. That's fine. Whatever, right? If we come off of this side, we'll make our little ridge a little lower this time, okay? We want to, and this is again something I was talking about with my student earlier. Think about it like we're looking at a cone, like a pyramid from the top, right? You're gonna have one side going this way, one side going that way, one side going that way, and one side coming towards me, right? And so if we can, even on this side, pull in the same direction. So again, we're here and we're going right to left, right? We can catch light on the kind of front edge of our mountain. You do have to have shadow side, right? You can't get this white all the way back up here against the edge of the mountain back there. It's just not going to work. That's going to make our eyes hurt, right? But if we come down at this steeper angle, so instead of flowing off this way, we're coming steeper down towards, 7:30, you know what I mean, on a clock. This would be 6 o'clock. This would be 7:30 over here. This would be 9, right? If we're coming down at that steeper angle, then it's going to make it look like it's projecting out towards us. It's making it more 3D. It was 3D before, right? We had our one side, we had our other side, we had our shadow. Now we've made it 4D. We're 7D. How many Ds can you have? I mean, that's like a personal record, I guess. You keep track of that. I don't even know that. But all the Ds out here make it so much more 3D, right? We've just got multiple sets of 3Ds. We've got 9D out here. Fabulous, right? The more we do, the more it's going to brighten areas up. If we have a bit of bright, you have to get back in there with your shadows and throw some shadowy paint off the backhand side. You have to. You cannot not do it. It can't go from just pure white to that dark kind of mountainous color. You have to have a bit in between. there, right? You don't even have to go all the way to the edge. It all depends on what you want yours to look like. Do you want to go further over here? Because the more paint that you put out here along the side, one of two things are going to happen. You either have to mist it, in which case you're going to have a lot of mist, right? Because think about this. When we're making the mist, we have to grab some of the paint from here and tap it outwards, effectively erasing the thick paint and turning it into mist. So if your mountain looks really cool, then you're like, oh, I don't want to have to go up in there and grab and take that away. It looks too good. Then let's put a little bit of extra paint down around the bottom. We can literally smush this stuff on as hard as you can because we're going to make it mist anyway and save those cool little details. So you don't always have to get rid of everything, but we do need to have white paint down along the bottom so that it can mix in with this mountainous color and all this stuff down here. So even if you got to scrape it in or whatever, plop it in there. The heavier it is, the brighter your mist is going to be, right? So you get to decide each time. And I know after about, painting 1,500 mountains, that's about enough paint for me to do what I want to do. Now we're going to take our 2-inch brush again and dab it off on a paper towel, making sure that it's very, very, very dry, very clean of color. And again, you can wash it if you want to. I'm proving that you don't need to. If you dab off like 90 to 95% of the color, right, there's no more color on the brush anymore. It's dry. Even though it looks like there's paint there, it's dry, right? We're going to get up here, tap at it. Get it a little bit lower, tap at it. Into that white stuff. All that stuff that I was putting on at the end is what I'm trying to turn into grass almost, right? And if we tap it enough, because this is how we make grass, we kind of tap in a little line, then we go underneath it and tap in a little line, right? But if we can tap at these little guys enough, right, it's going to make that white mix with the dark color from our mountain that's over here, right? Going to mix them together so it will become this brighter, mistier thing. Now, remember, you cannot put your thicker trees on top of all this thick, snowy paint. That's why we're making this misty area, so that we can come in and pop our trees up in like this and maybe leave like a 1/4 inch of space in between and just save just that much mist, just the littlest bit at the top, right? All of our trees are going to come in and cover it like that. That's why we're going through all this thing, and especially over here. We don't want to make it a straight line either. So as you can see, if I put like a fan brush up here with the handle, right, at the very bottom, so it's coming from up, goes down, goes up a little bit, comes up over here now, right? It's not just straight across. You don't want that to happen. Okay? Same thing, we'll grab a little bit of our blue, and that white, just mix it up, just like we're stirring up chocolate milk. Over there, over here. Now we have to turn our brush very flat to the canvas like this. Right? Our fingers, we're going to try not to overhang them over the brush too much, right? Because then they're going to hit our mountain snow. We have to be very flat. And we're going to go the opposite way that we came down with our palette tool. So if we had our palette tool like this, right? And we were like, okay, let me go and slide down to the side. I have to take the brush and slide it in the reverse. Now, if I push too hard on this brush, it's going to really smear that paint, right? Paint's very heavy up there. It's just kind of sitting there, right? So if we brush it too hard, it's going to smear it. That's why we're not out here brushing it like we normally would down here, right? Because we can't control our pressure out here. We're going to push too hard. But if we're in here and we're just kind of grazing across the canvas like this, trying again not to push it in, we're not pushing against it so hard. We're just floating over the top. You do not have to go all the way to the top of your mountain, right? And what this does is it kind of makes the bottom area look out of focus and the top look nice and crisp. You can see it. It's amazing, right? Because the further that we get down the mountain, the less we're going to see. Now, let's get over here. Mix, we got enough of our Paint with Josh plaque mix. So let's grab our fan brush. Okay, we're going to wiggle it down through our same mountain paint that we had mixed up back there. Bing, bang, boom. You can grab a little sneak of white if we wanted to, just to brighten it up a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's grab a little touch of white right there. There, a little bit. It's just got to be a little bit brighter here so that we can make it darker by adding more dark paint. You do not want it to be bright gray, otherwise it will not stand out away from this bright gray, right? All we're doing is trying to make things stand out away from each other. We're just playing with the colors here, there, and everywhere. Right? We're just kind of tapping Little things, little things, little things. You want to see how to do it in a more slow motion setting? Yes or no? Or have you seen this enough times that you don't need me to slow down? You guys let me know. Let me know out there in the night. Thank you, I am Josie. Appreciate it. Amazing. I appreciate you. The color is nice. I like that pinkiness in our clouds and all that stuff. Ooh, fabulous. Fabulous. I guess nobody wants to talk to me. That's fine. In any case, we're just tapping down little things and then filling it in between, right? They're underneath. You gotta. Hey, Super Squatter! Thank you for signing up. You're awesome. Right? All we're doing, again, very lightly tapping down, then next to it, a little bit lower, next to it, a little bit lower, next to it, a little bit lower. Then we'll start going up a little bit. Make that other tall peak, and then down a little bit. It's just like a wavelength, or like an EKG machine, like a little heartbeat monitor, right? The boop, boop, boop. And you just pop it up. You got a weird, irregular heartbeat. You just pop it up differently, right? We don't want them to all look the same. We want to have arithmetic. Shh. You want to have heart arithmetics. Of course, that's the word. Yeah, no. No, it's arithmetic. It's arithmetics. It's arithmetics in India. Right? We want to have little arithmetics in our trees so it's not all the same. And I usually like to make it like a U shape, right? The more that you fill it in underneath the bottom, the more it looks like forest, right? You can't say that it doesn't. You can bring it down like this, right? Tapping it in so it's a little lower on the sides, basically pretty flat along the bottom. And then the top side is kind of arced like that, right? Ooh, I like it. See how we came up into that mist? We didn't leave a whole bunch. I didn't put the tip tops of my trees way down here where the mist stopped. You don't want to have a lot of that back there, right? And the less you have, the better almost. So let's take our 2-inch brush. We're going to get in here, right? And why don't we run the commercial break? And then that way we won't have to stop like halfway through. So why don't you guys hang out for like 30 seconds, check out one of these awesome Paint with Josh commercials produced by Paint with Josh Productions. And we'll see you right after these words. Have you watched like 1,000 Paint with Josh videos and you just can't seem to get it right? Let's do a virtual class where I can show you how to use the brush, show you how to contact the canvas, pick up the camera, and show you angles you've never seen before in a Paint with Josh video. So check out the site, scroll down a little bit, see the calendar, book your day and your time, pick a virtual class, and then we'll meet up via video call. I'll email you and everything's gonna be fantastic. So let's get back to the show and see what we've been up to while we've been gone. That guy's a total jokester. Okay, we're gonna get in here with our 2-inch brush, right? A little bit of pressure at the bottom, and then we pull away before we get to the top. Sometimes you can drag through just a littlest bit, but do it over the areas that you don't have all that thick, heavy snow. When we get to that snow, we wanna pull away, and then that way we're not depositing more white down here and messing up our little snowy stuff. Now, if you've got some pretty thick paint, one might have a tendency to grow. Maybe you get a couple little tree trunks in the background that are popping up different from these ones in the foreground. Remember, these are not all just one tree. Each one of these peaks is 10 to 20 different trees, right? All poking up at different angles. And there's thousands of little peaks in there, right? So tons and tons and tons of trees, an entire forest full of trees. So you guys check in real quick. Let me know where you're watching from, because after we swipe these guys upwards, right, we're leaving these little brush marks down around the bottom. That's perfectly normal. Okay, we're going to turn our brush vertically. So first it was horizontal, very flat like that, so we could lift up, right? Pull up on those guys. Now we're going to turn it vertically like this, so it's very much thin and longer tall ways. And we're going to tap about midway up into our forest, and then about every inch we're going to tap down, like 3 or 4 times. Okay, so it should look like that. We're going to tap in, go a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, right? Each time it's going to bring down a bit of mist. Okay, and then we're going to go next to it, but not directly next to it, right? Maybe we go a little bit lower and we tap down a couple, and a little bit lower and tap down a couple. So now our misty line is going like this. Now it needs to come back up. We can pop up a little higher and tap down a little lower and a little higher and a little lower and up and down, just like our treetops on the top, just like an EKG machine. That's hysterical. Now, The more that you tap this stuff down, you're bringing the darkness down into the light, and you're bringing the light up into the dark, right? And that is what creates the mist. It's the bristles massaging this dark paint in with the wet base coat, right? Our canvas is wet. That way, these thicker paints have something to blend with, right? And make them kind of disappear, make them easier. Now, if you really look, we really only use about 1 inch to 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches sometimes, depending on the size of your tree, of the actual stuff that we painted. Everything else, we get misted up. So we mix it up very firmly around the bottom. The more firm that we push on it, the more the gray will turn lighter in color, right? It'll become more bright, and that looks more and more and more like mist. And again, last little transition all the way up, boom, 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 all the way across. That takes away our brush marks, right? Some of the times, if you don't do that last transition, then you'll see when the painting dries, you'll see a line where you stopped mixing, and then everywhere else is nice and smooth. So mix it up a little bit and then fluff it, okay? Now we get to decide, we got all this space. How tall are these trees? Do they live way down here, or here, or here, or there, right? Just barely at the base of the mist? How tall are they? We can decide. Do you want a whole nother bit of forest to come through and crisscross? Do you want to just have some trees in the front? You get to choose. Right now, oh, that's going to look cool. Let's leave this side misty, right? Just basically means it's just mysteriousness. That's where that word came from, actually. If you look up the Greek, Latin, Josh pronunciation, that's where mysterious and mist came from. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. The Greek, Latin, Joshian pronunciation, because I speak a different language than everybody else. So, what was I even talking about?
Some weird Latin pronunciation for a language no one speaks.
Of what, though? What was before that? Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, the mistiness, right. So the mist is because it's mysterious. We don't know what's happening down there. We can't see the base, right? It's not clear where it is. That means you can do all sorts of different stuff back here, right? And use that as a distance maker. So now we're going to mix up a little bit more of our plaque mix, so a little bit of our blue, crimson, and black. And we're going to mix it down over that lighter color, kind of getting rid of that pile, making a darker color than we used before, right? Back in this guy, we added a little bit of white to it. And in this pile, we're not going to add any brightness at all. And so it stays very dark. And when it's very dark, it'll stand out as being much closer than our little friends back there. Now, let's just say, right, I don't know how it's going to look, but I don't want to just use my pure plaque mix kind of in my midground area. Otherwise, it'll be hard to tell something else in front of it away, right? So what we'll do is we'll get another little tiny, that's too much white. That's still too much white. Little bit of white, bit of plaque. Let's mix that guy up. There we go. Yes, we just need it to be slightly darker than our color is back here. And it doesn't have to be darker than this. It has to be darker than this mist, which is very, very, very bright. So we don't have to aim for an extremely dark color. But with this color being a little bit darker, it's going to stand out away from those trees and make them look more distant and make these guys look a little closer up. Yes, this is oil painting out here. We're going to come over here, wiggle down into that color. Right, down here, wiggle down. Let's decide. Maybe we want to pop a little tree right there, just above the forest, right? And then down, well down beneath it. Then if we turn our brush on the side, tilt it towards the canvas just the smallest bit, and then touch it with the corner. And the more that we go in, the more corner we're touching, right? We're pushing it in, it's hitting the corner, and then it's bending outwards. Once you get down far enough, then you have to start kind of turning it as you're making all these branches, right? The Paint with Josh brushes are a little thin, so they will separate if they don't have enough paint in them. That's your indicator that you need to put more paint on that brush, right? And so it sticks together, okay? We do that on purpose. You imagine that. Now, we're going to come down about that far, knowing that I'm going to pull it out one way and pull it out the other way and create this little, I don't know, like a little hill it lives on back there. And we're going to do it multiple times with multiple trees. So maybe this first guy, I'll show you what it's going to look like. We always add a little bit of extra at the bottom, knowing that I'm going to pull it from up here right? And I'm going to take that paint and pull it backwards. This side, bang, right? Casting a little shadow out from behind my tree. This one, we don't want to grab so much paint. We want to be very light-handed, okay? Pull all the shadow to the back, or pull it down, or tap it in, right? You can do the same sort of mistiness that we do on those trees right there, but on this little guy. And the more that we tap at it, the more it's massaging itself in, so that when you do pull that side out to the right, where all of our light is coming from, it should be brighter than off on the back side, right? Again, the more we mix it, the more it will fade away and become nothing. We're also going to take a little bit of our white paint, get our titanium white, put it onto the brush, and just slide it out that way. You know what I mean? Now you got a little bit of land kind of cutting in front of that misty area back there. All up to us and however we want to do it, right? We're going to pop a whole nother tree in front of there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We can get a little bit of our bluey side or our bluey paint, plop it down, let it spread out, not try to cover up all that darkness, but just that little bit of blue against that white, right? It's the same blue that's up here. So our sky blue, snowy color then becomes our shadowy side of our paint. Now, let's take, you know what? Oh, let's put another guy out here. Let's grab a little bit of our plaque mix again, right? Just gonna mix down that dark color, and maybe out here, let's make them a little smaller though. There we go. Boop. Right there, pop them in, little things, boom, boom, boom. Again, start popping out side to side, making a weird little thing. Remember, none of them have to all be the same shape or darkness. They don't have to get bigger branches at the bottom. You can if you want to, but you don't have to, right? None of them have to do it. I've seen the craziest little trees. I've seen the fattest, little chunkiest little trees you've ever seen. I've seen all kind of trees, right? And they don't have to do squat. Now, let's tap in around the base again, just to make it a little softer, so that when we pull the paint out, it doesn't extend so far onto our bright side. All right, just slide it down, take this paint, pull it off the back side just a little bit. And we can even go right through our little bright section that we had created before. That's perfectly fine. Right, we can put it back in, pull this guy. And what's the difference between these two trees? Besides the height difference right here, right? What is the difference between these two little guys back here? What do you think? Anybody? Anybody out there? What's the difference between the two trees beyond the height, right? Thank you, D-Hawk. Appreciate it. The distance, right? The bottom. This bottom is sitting a little bit closer, a little lower down. That means it sits a little bit closer than his friend back there. Okay, what if we wanted one right in between? Little guy. Pop it in there, push it against, try to deposit a lot of that thick paint onto the canvas. That's what these trees want. They want all that thickness to stick to the canvas, okay? Always come down a little bit further than we need to, so we can grab it, slide it out this side, pull it out that way. And if you leave little differences in between them, then they look like little bits of inlet where they're not all exactly just straight along the bottom, right? That's going to help with our depth and distance as we make this one a little lower. So let's say our little friend got a little bit bigger, right? So we're putting more tree that I'm going to swipe away than anything else, right? I don't need to worry about that tree. I'm going to take this guy, pull him down this way. There we go. We can always go back in and feed the white snow and make it brighter on our one side, right? Then we can pull him down, taking away the paint, streak it down, and then feed all that white paint back to this side. It's just like a sequin pillow. You know what I mean? Those pillows where you like slide it one way and it's one color, you slide it the other way, it's another color, right? That's all this is out here. Pull all this shadow to the back, boom, 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 and then we can go back and pop on our white paint and make it brighter, right? All these things are in our control. Maybe we get up a little bit higher into the tree back there, and then underneath him, right, a little bit more flat on our angle. We can even cut in front of those little things back there. Changing the angles is going to help with your perspective as well, right? They don't all have to just flow down at the same angle. The closer they get to us, the more flat they have to be in my book anyway. Yeah, right? We can do whatever we want, you guys. That's the whole fun part about it. You can change it. You can do anything, right? Now, what if I wanted, again, Maybe one more little guy down here. Just a little old guy. All right, we're going to get taller, just slightly. Going to slightly get further away so the trunk is on the most exterior branch. Come down here and start popping in a few more bits. Boom, 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 right? We don't need it to get terribly huge too quick. It doesn't have to just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger on each side. Like if you get a branch that pops out real far away from it, doesn't have to continue. You can go back in and then pop out another one. Then go back in and then pop out another one and another one and another one. And the more you do, right, the cooler these little branchies are going to look. Now, in between the trees, that's when you're going to smush them together so much that you can't see through. Right? We don't want to see through those guys. Pop our tree down here, knowing that we're going to take away this bottom, at least some of the bottom bit, right? Because the more that we take away, or swipe our white snow back up towards that tree, right, the more it's going to look like it's closer to us because it's sitting down here a little bit. And so we can take this guy, pull it off this way. Really, if you need to, really push on that paint. You know what I mean? To get it to blend away. It will blend away. I'm showing you right here that they will blend away if you push on them hard enough. Okay, a little bit more of our white, which does not have to be so different. There doesn't have to be little dips and bobs in between. Right? You could make it smooth if you want. A little bit more white, which is staying whiter because we didn't put too much on the bottom of our canvas. Right? We didn't put too much of our blue sky down here that we'd have to try to fight over all that stuff. Right? Mix it into however you like it. And then boom, you guys are looking fabulous. This one's coming out amazing. Goodness gracious, right? The more white we put on, the more we're going to cover up and try all of our little details and stuff. And all those little differences look like little humps and bumps and little things out there, right? They look really cool. To me anyway, I don't know about you guys. That looks neat though. It looks like they're just wrapping around, right? We could put something else over here and kind of crisscross in front of them. You could do a whole nother tree a little bit bigger that would show it getting closer and closer and closer to us, right? We could do a whole different kind of tree. What if we grabbed our bushy brush and we came over here and went to commercial? So I might as well go to take a quick commercial break before we start this next section because it's going to take a few minutes and I don't want to break in between. So you hang out, chill there, hang there, chill out, and we'll see you after these words. Hey guys, what are we doing over here? Did you know we've got more than 2,800 videos that you can watch and learn from? And we're actually going to upload this video to one of our playlists right now. You didn't know we had playlists? Tons of them from 2021, 22, 23, 24, and 25. Seascapes, landscapes, everything. Get over there, watch it. I don't know what else to tell you guys to do, but I got to get back to work. So get out of here. What are you doing? Do you ever feel like you can just never find anything in your art supply stuff? Well, I've got something for you. This enormous Meeden rolling cart storage rolling thing. It's got locking wheels, 3 drawers, tons of room, a little brush cleaner over here. Plus you can do acrylic pour right on the center. It's really cool. I suggest you get one yourselves. And if you use promo code right there on that side over there, you'll be able to grab one for yourself and thank me for it later, right? So let's get back to the show after I find this paint I'm looking for. I'm always looking for paint, honestly. We're going to take our big old round PaintWithJosh bushy brush, the big round one. I only want to get the paint on the top part of it though, right? Because I'm going to come back here up into these little trees and we're going to pop out this weird little thing, right? Which can't just continue to grow down. It has to be kind of round and bulbous. Come in here and then pop back out again to another little round bit and then continue to get lower and lower and lower. As you can see, the more that we tap it, the more it's intermixing with that liquid white. And that liquid white is wanting to make it a brighter color, right? We don't want it to be a brighter color. We want it to be dark. And so we're trying to use a heavy amount to keep it dark, right? Fabulous. Remember, this is not one tree. It is a lot of trees. It's a whole bushel of different stuff out there, okay? Again, we're going to take it, we're going to pull it from starting from a higher point, and by the time we get down here, we're just ending at a lower point, at a lower space, making it look like it is closer, right? I can take all this white, like a sequin pillow, and just swipe it up towards that tree, making it look like it's almost buried, right? How tall do we want to go? How big do you want to make that thing, right? Because I ran out of paint. So why don't we get it back in here? We'll make a little bit more of our plaque mix, our blue, black, and crimson. Mix that guy up. You guys are going to check in. Let me know where you're watching from out there. In the night. Okay, I'm going to go up a little bit taller up here just to make it look like it's closer. Just a little bit. And then we're even going to go taller with a bigger sticky tree. So in here, we're going to tap into all that junk, right? That nastiness. Let's get a little taller, a little crazier, a little bit more out, kind of covering up different things, right? The taller we go, the bigger everything should get. Someone kind of cover over a little bit of that tree, hiding different things, right? Nothing out there has to be, you know, disconnected. You can totally cover or intermix different things to make them look cool, right? Angle your brush differently too. Don't just tap it all in one thing. And you can see there's a lot of texture in that thing right here. That way, when I come back with my highlights, all I'll have to do is just touch so softly to get them to deposit. And I know that with all that texture up there, if I were to touch too heavily with my highlights, that's when you're going to squish all of your wet highlights with your thicker paint base shadow that's down there. And that's when you make mud, the dreaded mud. Because your highlights and stuff, your blue and white shadowy bits that we're going to put on here, are like water. This is like dirt. And when we mix them too much together, you're going to get mud, right? If you use just the right amount of water and you dip that and you like drop a little droplet of water onto a pile of dirt, it sits on top, right? It doesn't really sink in. It does if you got a small enough piece, right? But if you use too much water, then it's going to overly mix together and sink in, right? So when we're just using analogies right here, our quote unquote water is our lighter, thinner Bob Ross liquid white paint, right? Which we're going to dab into the top of the brush, come off of this guy, tap it into all that bluiness, right? So it starts changing its color to a brighter color, but also makes it a more of a wet, nasty paint. And off the back side, I just want to pop in a couple little things, little bits. Remember, if we touch too much, if we're hitting too much on there and covering up too many things, then we're going to lose all of our depth. And remember, it is a whole big bunch of trees up there, not just one solid thing. Now you can see right here, when I dipped into my thing, I didn't overly mix the white and the blue, so it looks very bright back here. I don't want that. So I can swipe it and wipe it off and get rid of all that nasty brightness. Come back with my heavy dark paint, right? So if I get my heavy dark texture up there again, then I can go back over that with the other side of the brush that has that lighter blue color on there and just tap in a few little things, right? If it gets too bright, you can always go back and go and get rid of those little things by wiping it off and redoing everything, okay? So don't stress. Now, let's go wash off that brush because we need a nice clean white brush for this one, right? Or at least white paint on it. And this one has the black mix and the blue paint on it. So let's clean off the brush. You guys check in. Where are you from out there? Let's see. In the night. What's up? Everyone be quiet. My show is on. That's funny. Who said that? That TikTok guy. That's funny. Like, everyone hush. Josh is painting. Okay. Let's come over, get a little bit of our liquid white again, just onto the top half of the brush. Go into the titanium white. And remember, we're trying to get some of the globbiness to mix with some of that liquid white. So we're almost plunging right into the heavy part of the pile. That's why it ends up looking like that after the time we get done. Now, if we come out here and tap on a couple little bits, and remember, nothing out there is all one solid thing. You have to leave gaps, leave a bit, right, where the light can't reach through. You can't just have white on blue, right? You have to have that black underneath as well. And the more that you get up there and cover that black, the more it's going to remove your depth, right? Little bits, little things growing out there. Little things. Maybe off of this guy, separate. Have a bit of gap in between so we know there are two different things happening out there. And when you start really looking at it, right? if you get over here with your liner brush, a little bit of your liquid white, because out there in nature, even in the summertime, most of these branches are white. So if we toss in a little branch, right, throw it, look at that, right? Instantly just takes that whole top section, makes it one thing, okay? I can go back in right where our guy comes out just to tap in a little bit of brightness. Boom, right? You got your top half of your tree. If I get another little bit of liquid white onto the brush, and we come from down here, boom, holding up all that stuff. Maybe there's one that's feeding all these guys, right? Like you got to have different things that are growing from this tree. So different, maybe there's a whole big trunk that goes up there and feeds all those little things, right? When you put them in like that and separate it to where now you can see there's multiple sections of stuff. There's multiple things happening out there. Tap in a little bit more right here, make it look a little cooler, right? All up to us every time. Don't put too much bright white back towards the edge, and don't let it touch too much, because if they touch too much, then they're going to be too hard to tell apart, basically. Okay, now we'll go to a smaller fan brush and get over here. This small little guy, grab my liquid white again, just onto the tip of my fan brush. And I'm going to go over here into the blue, and I'm going to try to make this white disappear without using too much blue, if that makes sense, right? There it goes. Now this paint right here in the center is a little bit wetter than the top and bottom part of this pile, because that's where I just put more liquid white. And so if I need it to be wetter, I can go back and get more liquid white and pop it into that side and then just let it kind of adhere onto my brush. If it's too goopy, right, then it's gonna really glob off on our trees back here, and that's not what we want. We need it to be the right amount, the right ratio of wetness, and then we just come in and tap little things, right? Not trying to cover everything. Not every space is going to be catching all the light. Not every tree branch is even seen, right? So it doesn't have to be anything, right? But we have to have the blue on the back side of our tree. So we come up here, tap onto the top, right? Deposit a little bit of paint. Then we come onto the outside first. Stay along the outside, and then we get down here, boop, 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 come up the middle a little bit. And the more and more and more distant that our trees get, the less and less and less we have to tap, right? Or vice versa, the closer you get to you, the more details you need to see. So the more branches, the more little splots and stuff, right? These guys back here, we have to touch less because they're smaller. And if we touch them the same amount, we're going to overfill everything, and everything will be all that same amount of blue. Remember, we have to have the dark tree. If you don't have the darkness, then there's no place for little critters to live, right? Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down, wherever you need it to be. Not all the time are they all the way shown everywhere, right? So you don't have to put the brightest highlights all the way at the very bottom of your tree, is what that means. Boom, boom, boom. Pretty much a straight line down. You can even let it go over into your highlight side a little bit. Just don't do it on every one, right? We want to be either straight down the middle and just a couple overhanging onto our side, our brighter side. Now we've got to wash off the brush, go back into our liquid white again, right? Tap it in. This is the secret ingredient that makes the paint wetter and makes it adhere to the tree out there, right? Bob always told us that a thin paint would stick to a thick paint, right? So we've got all the thick paints out there, and now we've got this thin paint. And so if you go to tap on it, and it's, actually, let's do this big guy first, just because he's going to have the most amount. My brush is very full of paint. And so if I wanted to drop off, that would have been too much. It would have overfilled that whole little tree back there. So sometimes starting on your biggest guy, dropping off that paint and allowing it to, be bigger on our bigger details. And then as you go back and back and back, you can get smaller and smaller little spots. A little bit like that. The more you get onto your shadow side, the less it makes sense. So you can go back and kind of tap at those guys and make them dark again, right? All up to you and your highlights. Now, so I know since I've done one tree, my brush is going to be dirty. I'm going to need to go back, get a little bit more of that paint, come back over here, and again, stay along the outside edge first. Not trying to hit the center of the tree. Boom, 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 boom. Then we go up the middle. Boom, 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 boom. Right? You got a pretty wicked looking little tree out there, you guys. You just don't want to cover up every space. If we cover up every spot with too much brightness, right, then it's going to make the tree look flat. And when the tree looks flat, you're not going to like it, right? You're going to send it to me and you're going to be like, oh, I can't figure out what I don't like about this painting. I'm like, well, you lost all the darkness, but it still looks cool. You know what I mean? Now, when I load this guy, I'm going to wipe off the excess for these smaller ones. I don't need a whole big bunch. I want there to be less. I want them to be, you know, less noticeable, further away, smaller clumps, less detail, less paint, right? Because they're further away from us. We can't see them, so we have to paint it like we can't see them. And if we paint them all with these crazy, bright, chunky, heavy bits of snow, then they're going to look like they belong up here when we want them to be off in the distance, right? We can again decide how many little bits shine down and get close to our snowy area, right? You don't need them to be bright all the way down at the bottom, but having them be too dark at the bottom as well also looks a little funky, right? So you decide what you want them to look like, and just like that, you got some really cool little trees. So you guys got to help me come up with a title for this painting, right? What should we call this one? You always want to offset these guys, so they're not all the same place on the tree. See how they're different? Boom, boom, up, down again like that. And this is just that little bit of liquid white and titanium white. All right, bingo, pop one down there. Fabulous. All up to us. The furthest ones away, you don't really need to see the trunks, right? We wouldn't see so clearly inside that tree back there as we would a tree up closer to us, is my thought anyway. Can always cover over our little trunk if we don't like it, if we think it's too big or whatever. Right? It's just supposed to be an opening where you can see inside to the tree. And that's not even the whole trunk. That's just one piece that you can see. Right? So it's not like the trunk of the tree is that skinny. That's just the bit that is being caught by the light. And then everything else is dark in there. Right? So you guys start coming up with a title for this one. And I think we need at least one little skinny tree, like right here. Something coming off of this side. Don't you think? Just don't you think? Don't you know? Let me know what you think. You think we need a little tree off that side? And remember, you can purchase this one if you like it enough. If you get it during the live show, you get to come up with the title for it forever, and you get to tell me what to name it, right? You also get to spin the spinny winny wheel, and you activate the light party for everyone else, so we can all see what this painting would look like in a light party. Where do you go to find it? You just type in those 3 dubs, the dubs over there, and then you type in pwj.info and hit go. It'll take you right over to where you need to be. The mods are telling you where to go. Boom, boom, boom. How do you know how much liquid white to your paint, right? That is something that you have to figure out. I usually try to do about 50-50, and it depends. If I'm doing a tree versus a wave, we need different amounts of paint, right? So you have to kind of figure it out as you go, because that's not something that can be like, okay, you need 3 ounces of this and 1.5 ounces of that to make it perfect. There's no measurement to tell you. You know what I mean? So you try to mix it 50-50. If that works well, okay, cool. If it needs to be wetter and come on, if it's not coming off your brush and needs to be wetter, then you add a little bit more. So now you're at 60-40 or 70-30 or 80-20 or 90-10, right? Like it's because it's up to everybody how it's going to react on their canvas, right? And so you almost have to do a little experiment and see what it's going to be like, right? There's always another canvas that we can try on. There's always another time to get to this exact point in the painting and go a different way than you went this time. You know what I mean? All things are possible. Can you take that one little branch that I don't like that's hanging out back here and just pull them off to the side, making it look like our little land barrier back there. And even with your finger, right? If we wanted to fix it with my finger, I just get a little bit of my titanium white and brush over there until, this is what I do off, like, sometimes I'll finish a show and then I'll look at something and go, oh, I wish I would have saw that during the show, and let me just fix it real quick. And we'll do it with the finger, you know what I mean? Finger lots of paintings. Now, we'll get out here, wash off the rest of our brushes. You guys are going to come up with a title for this one, and then let me know in the comments. I like it. I like it. Bingo, bango, dudes. Lots of things you could do with this painting. I got to clean off some of these brushes real quick, and then let's decide Maybe put in a big old sticky old tree back here. But I don't need all these brushes all covered in paint sitting over here waiting. So, yes, remember, if you like this one, you know where to go to get it. It's available. You can have it, but you got to be the first one there. There are other people that are constantly looking. They might not even be watching the show, but they could be still looking and take it away from you. Right? So get over there before someone else does. Grab it up, come back and let us know what to call it. Now, we're going to mix up. I'm thinking if we do a little sticky tree out there, right, we can even change the angles of our snow down here and make it not so steep. It looks a little steep right there. So if we grab our titanium white and we just flatten out these angles in a longer streak, right? Boom, boom, boom. Mix it, mix it, mix it. Let it float back up at different areas so it's not all the same, right? And then it looks a little bit more flat. That is how you do it, guys. And so instead of everything, they were coming down back here, and then they're a little flatter, little flatter, little flatter, and then they're flat as they get up here, right? So you get a different change in your angle. Now, let's mix up one more little bit of our Paint with Josh plaque mix. The gorgeousest of the black and the crimson and the blue. We'll put in a little tree. Hopefully I have enough paint left to, actually I'm gonna have to get more paint out of the box eventually, but maybe we can at least do the little sticky part of the tree with this guy. Right now, do you want it to be a big, giant, thick, huge, crazy tree? Do you want it to be a skinny little thing? Oh, I was like, are we running commercial right now? Do you want it to be in between? Do you want to have two? It's totally up to you what you want to do with yours, right? How much paint do you have? That kind of determines how big your tree is going to be, right? So what if we came over here and we said, I want a little guy very thin, and then I'm going to push in a little harder and a little harder and a little harder as we go down, right? Making our little sticky little tree out here. Then I can decide, do I want to make him taller? Do I want to make it thicker, right? By coming in here and just pushing in more, making it thick out like that, right? What do you feel like it should look like? Because it's all up to us, right? You want it to start way up here. It can. The higher up we put it, the crazier it's going to be, you guys. Boom, boom, boom. Fabulous, right? Now, let's give him a little friend, just because we got some extra paint. And we'll come down like this, popping it in, bang, right? You can even turn it in. You can have them look however you want, honestly. We can make it bigger, fatter. Both of these could connect, and then we could take it away or pop a bush in or do whatever we wanted to do to hide whatever you didn't like. That's the fun part about it, man. Now, let's take our odorless mineral spirits. We're going to make a whole bunch of branches on this thing, and then we're going to put a bush in at the bottom, and then that's going to seal in the bottom of the painting, right? So if we came off of this guy and we started whipping down these little things, going off of one side, maybe got a couple little straight doers over here and there and down. And if you have enough of that odorless mineral spirits onto your brush, it will drop off easily. You want the paint to be like watercolor, right? You want it to be dark and flow off of the brush very easily, right? And if it isn't, then again, you know you don't have the right mix of paint. And so come out here, launching in heavier, bigger connections down on our lower tree branches and stuff, right? Go back and get that odorless mineral spirits, because if you don't have enough, then we're not going to be able to be runny enough in order to flow off of our trees. Right? We'll crisscross that guy. Maybe this guy's come down here. A little branchy poo, right? Off of this side. Maybe we got a couple that are a little straighter, a couple that are a little longer, a little heavier, a little bigger. Whatever you want, honestly. How big do you want to make them? How many little bumps and kinks and little bits are going to come off of them as they're going down, right? All up to us. How many pieces come off and crisscross, right? You can have all sorts of things out there. All sorts of broken bits. You can turn it up this way. You can pop it down over here. Boom, 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 right? Whatever you want. It's up to you, honestly. And down over here, crisscross, crisscross, bing, bang, boom, right? Where do you want them to be? Totally up to you, every time. So, you know what we're going to do too? Let's pop in one more. I feel like another little sticky tree. Just right here. Boom, now we got 3 right there. Bang, right? And again, doesn't matter where the bottom is, what the bottom looks like. We don't care about that. We're caring about the branches and the trunks right now. Right? Everything else after that will be null and void, honestly. Make this guy a little taller if we want. We can extend this guy a little taller if you want to, just by adding with the brush and the odorless mineral spirit. So it's very fine, very thin, very skinny, right? And then you get these really cool little things. Now, we can do as many, as few as we want. Right? Crisscross them, pop them in here, crisscross them over to the side, all these things up to us, right? Now, what we need to do is get a little bit more of our paint out of the old paint box and get rid of all that wetness. So while I'm grabbing some paint out, why don't you guys hang out for this quick commercial, and then we'll be right back after these words. Hey guys, it's PaintWithJosh back in the studio with you today, taking a break from editing to talk about our Glitterwix candles. Absolutely fantastic, super unique jars, more than 65 different scents that you can find if you head over to their site. Check it out. Get your favorite. Let us know which one you got when you come back, and let's pop over to the show and see what we've been missing while we've been gone. The commercial was not fast enough, or was not long enough, because I am not done yet. Gotta get a little bit more blue, and then we can get our last little bush in here. Perfection. Now, I've already done 2 classes already today, and then this painting. You guys know my limit is 3 per day normally, but if somebody grabbed this one during the live show, then I will come back for a second show later on, even though I've already done my max limit of paintings per day, right? And it's only because after a while you can start to like taste the paint from breathing in, you know, so much of this oil, right? And I just don't like how it makes my throat feel after a while. So that's why we try to stick to 3 paintings or less per day, okay? And I've already done 2. So if somebody does grab this one, right, then this will indicate us doing another show. Now, let's go in with our bushy brush. If your paint is flat on the table, angle your brush away from you, point it away from you, so you have all that paint up on the top, right? Then we can come out here and turn it and launch in crazy little things, right? We need lots of paint up here. You have to have a ton of dark paint on your brush. You have to black out as much of the white in the background as possible and remain it being dark, right? We just put a bunch of snow back there. There's a bunch of white paint. And so we have to put on a lot of darkness in order to black it out and make it look like it's closer, okay? Then we can get up here, starting again at a higher point, right? And then getting lower and lower and lower will help it look more like this side's just a little further away. Right? Gonna drag that guy back. Then we get a little lower, a little lower, a little lower. You can even sneak almost all the way around the front, right? And now you got this shadow that's pulled back here. If the shadow got too big or whatever, you can take your white paint from this side and push it back, right? Blend it. Now we got this little walkway we can walk down through, get back there, right? And all we got to do is come in here and make our trees nice and high lit, right? Make this guy a little thicker. There. It's a little skinny in the middle, which is making it look a little funky to my eyes. There we go. Now, we're going to get the last bit of our blue and our liquid white. All right, so we got a little bit of blue, a little bit of liquid white. More blue than liquid white, right? The liquid white is only there to make it come off of our tool, okay? So same thing for these little guys. We're going to put our highlights on the one side and try not to cover up all of the dark. Right, so we tap on a little blue line and then tap it and tap it and tap it and tap it and tap it. If you have a ton of paint, it's going to leave a very thick bit of texturous bark on there that you will literally be able to feel by the time that it dries. You don't want to touch it when it's wet. It'll smoosh it, right? But the more of that, the more I can come in here and tap onto that, I can even use it on this other tree because it's very heavy on that one side, right? So you don't just want to continue blasting on more and more and more heaviness. You can go pick it up from where it's very heavy there, and then use it on a different tree, higher up the tree, wherever you want it to be. Remembering to not put too much blue, right? If we put too much blue on there, we're going to lose the roundness of our sticks, right? We need to have a little bit of black around the edge of our thing to make it look a little bit more round, right? So don't have the blue all the way against the sky. Don't have the, you know, cover up all of our darkness, and we should be pretty good. So now we'll go back to that titanium white that's got a very small amount of liquid white in it. You don't want everything to be too goopy. And if it's got too much liquid white, it's going to be too goopy, okay? So we get in here and we tap at it. And we start climbing up, climbing up, climbing up. Boom, boom, boom. Tapping a little bit over that blue side to help make it look round, right? If you cover up too much blue, then we're going to have a crazy bright tree, especially if we cover up too much blue or too much of that black color that's underneath there, right? That's what's keeping it looking round. If we cover up all that black with too much white or too much blue, then you lose the roundness and it makes it very flat, right? And so even way up here, you want to just barely touch. And at the very, very, very tip top, you don't need to have highlight. You don't have to show a white side or a dark side up there, because when you get up there, or when you get out there in nature and you look at the top of a tree, it's too far away to see it, and it's too skinny and too small to see it as clearly as we can see the trunk of the tree, right? And so you don't have to paint the highlight on there. It looks like a silhouette in real life, right? Like, you get out there and you see the, even if it's a brown tree trunk, you see a brown, 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 and then it just turns black because it's against the bright sky, right? And so you don't have to highlight the very tip top of your tree. You just want to put a little bit, a little snowy bit, a little bit of line, a little tree trunk, a little frozen bit of bark, whatever it is, right? It can be different throughout the whole thing, and we just don't need it to cover everywhere, especially up at the top. Right? It can be dark. You can have that silhouette up there. Trust me, I'm telling you. Right? Now we'll get out here and we'll again tap on a bit of my trunky bark, which does not have to be the same amount of brightness everywhere. Right? There could be another tree or trees off of this other side that are making shadows on our bark. Right? Our light could be coming through an edge of a cloud and only hitting in this one area brighter than everywhere else. It happens. Right? So don't stress about it and get out there and pop in your little bit of white trunk on that guy. Right? Fabulous. Remember, just to leave that little bit of darkness around the back, because if you don't, right, it's going to look flat, and don't get all the way bright way up at the top. Fantastic. Dudes. Boom, 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 right? Wherever you want it to be, you get to put it there, okay? If you put on too much, don't come crying to me, because I told you, don't put on too much. Don't try to cover every bit of branch. Don't do this, don't do that. And then you went and did it, right? So don't come crying to me if it starts looking weird after you go do something you weren't supposed to do. Because I do the same thing, and I got nobody to cry to. I'm like, hey, I'll just tell myself, I guess, hey, don't do that next time, bud. Don't get out there next time, bud, with so much paint. Boom, boom, boom. Fabulous, right? Put a little bit of our bluey, snowy blue highlight off of the back of our little friends over here. Right? Those little friendly little guys. Bing, bang, boom. Yeah! That looks really cool. I like it. Right? Now, right here, you don't want to have that white onto our shadow side. Hey, cut right through it. Right? Anywhere else that's too bright, maybe I'll pick up a bit of that white and drop it down here. Using the same bit of white off the same tree to highlight another bit of that same tree. This guy out that way, pop a little touch of brightness. And I'm talking about the smallest bit on top of some of these branches that are going off to the side. Not every branch is going to be hit perfectly, right? So not every branch has to be exactly the same amount of brightness. That looks really cool though. Okay, now we're going to wash off our bushy brush. You guys are going to come up with a title for this one, right? And this has been a good 90-minute long show for you. So I'm really hoping that somebody wants to grab this painting during the show, right? We sell these paintings live right here during the show, right on the air. And if you get one right here, this one that we're painting, then you get to spin the spinny winnie wheel and win a free gift, whether that's a hat or a poster or backpack is the grand prize. Lots of different things, puzzles, all sorts of different stuff you could win, right? And all you got to do is buy the painting. And then you're going to win something. Like, no one ever loses on the spinny winnie wheel. We always let the purchaser grabs some sort of free gift off that guy, right? So if you like free stuff and you really want to help me out, because I don't have any other form of income besides selling these paintings and doing these live shows. Now let's get up here with our liquid white onto the brush, into our blue, and we're going to tap at it enough that we intermix the white away. So it's just a lighter blue color. Okay, we don't want to have any white bits on here. We're going to come off the back side, right? Tapping on little bits and not covering everything. If we cover up everything, we're kind of ruining it for ourselves, right? We don't want to cover those darker spaces. Who lives down in those darker spaces? All the little critters, right? The little rabbits and the squirrels and the chipmunks and stuff. That's where they run in to hide from predators, right? So if you cover up too much of that stuff, then you are taking Bambi's friends and saying, you know what? I don't care about you. You go get eaten by those wolves, right? So don't cover up too many things. Don't take too much white and put it over our shadowy side, right? Because too much is going to get rid of all of our blue side shadows and all that, right? So again, you guys are in control. You are doing it. You are out there, right? I'm not. I'm here. I've already showed you how to do it. You guys are the ones that are out there doing it. So if you make it too dark, or too bright, then you're going to want to wipe it off and redo the whole thing. Don't just try to put dark paint over all that light color. Otherwise, you're really going to get all muddied up and crazy, right? So you guys come up with a title for this one. Remember, if you like it, you can grab it right here during the show. It actually makes the show a lot better because we get to do the light party and all that crazy stuff, right? Love this tree over here. I love all the background trees. I love my big sticky trees on this side. And the last thing that we can do is literally remove paint from the canvas, right? We'll take our palette tool, aim the point of it in here, and then scrape in from the dark area the same little sticks and twigs that we had to paint in back here, right? They're just kind of holding up these little flowers or whatever they are, right? These little thingies. We don't want to do too many. We want to put them from the dark area growing up, holding up all of our little leaves or flowers or stems or whatever they are. Right? You get to decide what they are. But whatever they are, they have to be held up by something. So, mountain vibe, I like. That's awesome. Thanks, little corn. Where's big corn? Little corn. Is there a big corn out there? Stillness of Winter. That's a great title. Now remember, if you grab this painting as well, you get to title it. You get to either choose from one of the titles in the comments, from all of our fabulous, like, obviously, poet followers. Like, all of our followers are just excellent painting titlers, right? Or you can come up with your own title. But you got to grab the painting in order for that to happen. Now, we understand, of course, and as of late, understand that the paintings do not sell during the live show every time, right? I totally understand that. How can you get this one? You're in Australia. All you got to do is head over to my site, right? London might be able to type it in for you. London, can you? Oh, is it over there on the TikTok or whatever? So head over and grab this one. It's the very first painting that you see when you get to my site, right? We weren't able to take a photo of it because we haven't finished the show yet. So you won't see this, right? You'll see a thumbnail of me inside this very ornate gold frame. And it says painting number 2257. That's this painting right here. It is the only painting in my store that doesn't have a photo because we're painting it live. Every other painting that we have available has 10 photos with it, right? This is the only painting that doesn't have any picture because we haven't stopped the show to be able to take a photo, right? So this is the one that you want to grab. Looks like me inside this really crazy gold art frame, right? London's showing it to you right over there, right? Looks just like that crazy looking gold art frame thing with me standing inside of it. That's what it looks like when you get to my place, right? You want to grab that painting, put it in your cart, come back here, and then tell us what to title it, right? But if you don't do it fast enough, then you're going to miss out on the opportunity to title it, because I have to choose a title before we finish. And so if you don't get it while we're still live, then a title will already be chosen for it by the followers, or by me picking from one of the followers' comments, right? Let's come up here with our birds and just go caw out there in the day. Fabulous.
How long will it take to dry?
So this takes about 4 to 5 days to dry, and then we get it into the mail. And I mean, to Australia, it might be another 2 weeks. But normally within the US, it's about 3 to 5 days shipping. We usually use the UPS Ground Advantage, or USPS Ground Advantage that we ship through. So if it's an international one, it'll be USPS International or Priority International, depending on which one's available and which one is more economical. Sometimes we ship them out Priority because it's only 30 cents more than, you know, the regular. I'm like, okay, might as well do it. And so the goal is to get it dry as fast as possible and get it to you as fast as possible so that you'll be hooked and want to come back and get another one, right? That's my evil plan. I get you hooked on getting these Paint with Josh paintings, and then you got to come back and get more and more and more. So at least that's the hope. That's the hope anyway. Yeah, it looks awesome. It looks awesome. What's that wooden stick for? So that wooden stick is because the painting is all wet right now, right? We teach the wet on wet oil technique, so the painting is wet. Therefore, I don't want to come take my hand and plop it onto the canvas and draw my little birds, right? It's also more difficult to float above the canvas with this long liner brush that we have, right? So you're basically touching it on the side of the canvas, right? So anywhere that I touch, as long as it's on the side, is not going to get paint on the bottom side of my little guy right here. And as long as I have some space in between, right, then it's not going to smush against my heavy mountain or anything like that. If I were to get closer and closer and closer to the canvas, I've got more of a chance of touching something, right? So I find the space I want to put it at, the angle I want it to be out away from the canvas towards me, and then I rest my hand there, and then it becomes very stable, right? It's just a stabilizer. It's called a maul stick, right? Leonardo da Vinci had one that had like a round little cloth on the end of it, because he would do in the traditional oil painting, and whatever section he would already been done would have been dry for days before he would start on a new thing. And so he would be able to rest it almost like this. I've done it with a fan brush before too. Touch the fan brush on the side, rest your hand on the brush handle so you're not touching the canvas, and then make tree branches or birds or, you know, more detailed items that require more finesse. That's the finesse stick out there. It's finesse stick. It's a fantastic finesse stick. But yeah, that's what it's for, to rest on so that you don't have to come up here and touch the actual canvas because everything is all wet. So, fantastic. This one took about 90 minutes. Well, about 80 minutes. Not 80 minutes, hour and 20 really, from when we first started to when we're here now. Man, that came out fabulous. I'm looking at it on the screen over there, you guys. So, you guys got to give me with the title, right? If you want to purchase this one, you can. I really hope you do, because we're going to be not doing live shows. If I can't sell any paintings, you guys, I'm dead ass serious. I normally don't swear during the show, but I'm totally serious. If we cannot sell any paintings, I cannot afford this building. Therefore, we cannot do live shows from here again, right? So please, I'm asking you, go check out the website and check it. Grab literally anything is going to help keep a roof over the studio's head, right? Beyond that, you guys have been fantastic. I can't wait to see your versions of this painting. We got to pick a title real quick, right? So first title that I see, let's see. Magical Wonderland was cool. Stillness of Winter is nice too. Should we do that? Let's do the Stillness of Winter. You got to do the Herbert Whistle when you do it too. There we go. Excellent. Good title. The Stillness of Winter. So this painting is still available, right? You just don't get to name it anymore because as soon as I write the title on the back, there's no erasing it, right? Permanent marker doesn't come out of canvas. There we go. Flip this guy around. The Stillness of Winter. Excellent. I love it. This one came out absolutely fantastic. Over here, over there, like that. I don't even know what that says. It's supposed to say original, but some of them do, some of them don't. Let's see, 2257. Excellent. Stillness of winter, is that what it is? Stillness of winter. You have to add the emphasis on the H, even though there's no H. That's what makes it funnier. Stillness of winter on painted on 1/25 of 2026. This is where you want to go in order to find all the paintings, right? So if you're rewatching over on YouTube, this painting is probably still there, right? You can go over and grab it if you want, but you got to go to this place right there. Paint with Josh, blank blank, like we like to say, since they don't like it if you try to say those 3 words and what they, communicate. They don't like that. So you can just do that. PaintWithJosh.communicate. Okay, I love you guys. I really hope somebody goes over and grabs a painting or two. And until we see you guys again next time, remember to send in your versions to us on Facebook at official Paint with Josh. There's too many fake ones out there, so make sure following the official Paint with Josh. It has the little blue check mark that guarantees that it's me and not anyone else that you're talking to. And until we see you guys again next time, take care. Rest of a good day. And blah, blah. Well, that one came out amazing. I want to thank you guys for being here, liking, subscribing, tapping the screen, commenting, and interacting with me. It's all been fantastic. In the meantime, before we get to our next painting, be sure you check out paintwithjosh.com because there's always something else to look at over there.